Welcome to the Flymen Fishing Show, where we talk fly fishing, fly tying, and everything in between. I'm your host, Scotty Davis. If you're a pike fisherman, our guest today really needs no introduction. Norbert Renaud, thank you so much for joining us. Your photos, videos, and your flies are truly inspirational.
Thank you.
So I guess my first question is, how did a Frenchman end up in Ireland?
Oh, well, that, yeah, you'll have to blame my parents for that. They're the one, my dad was, came to Ireland, I think in the late 60s. He was 68 or 69 the first time he came to Ireland. He used to come purely for the fishing, and he fell in love with the country. He tried to make a go to come and live here first in the early 70s. Brought everyone, but that didn't work out too well because Ireland at the time was not yet in the European Union. So we had, like, my mother was a nurse, her diploma wasn't recognized, so they had a hard time to get work and to sustain a living. So we came back to France. I done my studies in France then, and then about now close to 30 years ago, we decided to come back again for a second time, give it a second shot, and that time it worked, and I'm still here now. So that's why. So the fishing brought us here in the first time, and then the life here made us stay because it's a pretty relaxed way of living here. People are friendly, and you don't have too much of that rat race that you would have in other big countries or big cities. We're a little bit more chilled here, so it's not too bad.
That sounds great. So your parents obviously planted the fishing seed in you pretty early.
Oh, my dad did. Yeah. I caught the virus pretty quickly. Like, I was maybe a little bit not hyperactive kid, but I would get bored fairly easy. And I think first time we were on holiday in Spain, I think, and my mom was so fed up, she bought me one of them bamboo rod kits that you buy for like $2, like, really cheap stuff, and gave me that, and she couldn't believe how quiet I was, just looking at a float doing nothing, and that was it. Like, they were like, oh, hold on, something is happening here. So the next day, I think I was in the fridge getting some cheese paste and bread, mixing it up, because I was talking to a fisherman on the pier and told me how to make cheese paste. So I think I was like 5 years old. I was already making my own cheese paste at home. So the virus came fairly early for me, like.
Well, as far as viruses, that's probably the best one you can get. So.
Oh, definitely. I can't. Thanks to the fishing, I met some incredible people and traveled into some amazing places. And I don't think I would have that if I was doing, I don't know, playing tennis or playing golf. I don't think it would have been the same. Like, definitely not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, where I grew up, we didn't have pike. We had chain pickerel, which is kind of the Tenkara version of pike, I guess you would say.
That's a good way to put it. I never heard it that way.
Pretty sad, but so I mean, I get it, but some people probably would want to know why pike. You're in Ireland, you're surrounded by a bunch of different species, but you seem
actually, no, it's a bit of a misconception. We don't have that many species here. As predatory fish goes, we have where I am, I'm kind of inland, so we don't have salmon pushing all the way up here, and there's a nasty dam blocking the way for the salmon that's not really well regulated here. So we have very few salmon where I am. It's a kind of bogland here as well, so the lakes are very peaty, so there's we have few rivers where we have some nice brown trouts, but that's about it. Trout and pike here. We have some perch as well, but I like bigger fish. I like to chase what pulls on the rod, and so pike it is. Like, we have a few trout river, like I say, but I'm not too excited about trout. More for the pike, like.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us about the lodge. You run a pike fishing lodge there in Ireland?
I do. My parents started the lodge and they retired, and I was always behind just to take it over. I worked in restaurants as a chef before, so cooking for the guy wasn't something too new to me. So I kind of mixed the cooking side and the fishing side together. So it was just there. We had a really good customer base as well. So we have clients. I think some last year were 30 over 30 years coming back to Ireland, and some of them come twice, 3 times a year. So it's a handy destination for people in Europe. Like, you know, a short flight, you're an hour and a half flight and you're here, and then we're about let's say 2-hour drive. You're at the lodge and you can fish. Guys that arrive land in the morning are fishing in the afternoon. So it's a good spot to be. Like,
very cool. How old's the lodge?
The lodge now, 1994, we established the lodge first. My father's uncle had the first lodge in the region. He was in the 80s, and then he retired and we took over, but we relocated to a different part where water is right on our doorstep. Like, I just look at the window and there's the lake. So it's just there. Like,
so most of the guiding on lakes and rivers. I saw on your YouTube channel some beautiful rivers.
Yes. We're lucky. We have 365 lakes and rivers in a very small area here. So most of the lakes are connected to a system with the rivers. So you can basically go from here. You can go all the way to the seaside if you want to. You take a canoe, and a few 2-3 days you're up at the seaside if you paddle fast enough. But we have a great mixture of venues. It goes from very boggy small ponds full of peat that are very hard to access from the bank, so you can't launch a big boat on these places. So usually what works really well here is belly boats, float tubes, and then you have all the big lakes. We have big lakes as well, deep lakes that are connected with river sections, so you can do a bit of everything. It's funny, you could have a lake that's not feeding at all, and you hop in the car, you're basically a stone throw away the next lake that's maybe 500 yards away, and that one is fishing for a reason. So it's good to be mobile here and explore a bit. There's so many places left alone, like, you know, because of the accessibility is very difficult.
Is it a lot of private land and things like that surrounding the lake?
It's mostly private land. It's all due to the goodwill of the local farmers that let us through the gates. We suffered recent years with people messing about, leaving gates open, not being careful. It can sometimes create frictions with the local farmer, which you can understand when somebody leaves the gates and you have like 150 sheep to run after on the road, like, you know, so yeah, it's just a question of education. You get good people, you get bad people, like everything, I suppose, you know. But most of the place is true private land.
Oh, nice. Is it fly fishing exclusive, or is it just?
No. I would say it's about 70% spinning gear, normal conventional lure tactic,
right,
and about 30% fly guys. But fly fishing in the last 5 to 10 years has exploded in Europe. Like, more and more people are interested into the fly fishing side. I have clients that came to me and saw me fly fishing for pike, and they're like, well, listen, we've been coming here for 20 years. It's not that we're bored, but it's always the same thing, the same techniques, the same. I bring my same rod. I want to spice up a bit my life as a fisherman, you know. So yeah, the natural course is to switch to the fly, and I have to say 99% that have touched a fly rod for pike, they haven't touched a spinning rod after. They all sold their gear and that's it, they're hooked on it. And
did that happen to you?
You won't go back, like, you know.
Did you grow up spin fishing and then?
Yeah, definitely. Grew up starting looking at the float and catching minnows and things like that, and progressively moved on and to the lure fishing, and then I just got onto the fly fishing then. I think it's just a natural progression of a fisherman, really.
Did you start tying flies at the same time that you started fly fishing, or did that come later?
That when I started fly fishing, straight away I bought my first fly rod and I bought a vise. It came together. For some reason, I have good friends that at the time were giving me flies and I never got them wet. I couldn't fish with somebody else's fly. I had to be with my own.
Right. Well, by looking at the pictures of your flies, it looks like you were born with a vice in your hand. They're
yeah, thank you. Thanks.
We were checking them out this morning. The body tubing, the mouse.
Oh yeah, that's a great little one.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
would have
really
never
good little
thought
one.
to make that a subsurface fly.
Yeah.
Floating fly.
It's funny because like rodent flies, most people think it's a surface thing, it's a floating fly, like, but here most of the time it's really hard to get the pike to break the surface and hit on top water. And what we found, if you just let that fly sink just below the water surface, they come and grab it. I don't know why they're so shy to come to the top, but put it about a foot below the surface and you're getting hits after hits. Like, so that's why that fly came up. And we found as well that anything that imitates a rat or a mice, you get better fish on it. Like usually the small fish don't come up for these flies. Like,
yeah, I guess it's a giant protein snack at that point.
yeah, definitely.
Most of your flies, by the pictures, look fairly large. What would you say they average? 8-10 inches larger?
They wouldn't be 10 inches. I would fish them. Let's see. They'd be about from 6 to about 8 inches, roughly. The main bunch of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's times of the year where we took the big 10 inchers out, like, but it's only a few months a year where the fish really go for the big ones,
Yeah.
Pre-winter feed, October usually, when we have the first frost, the fish, yeah, then they like to get big feed into them, like big bait, some early spring as well. But after that, they can become really finicky. So we start to play with the size of the fly and get them a little bit smaller after.
Yeah. Do you do the lakes freeze over up there where you are?
Normally no. But this year they did. For about a week we had some ice. It's not the kind of ice you can go ice fishing on it. It's really thin, so it's dangerous ice.
Yeah.
But it's more annoying because it stops us from fishing.
Yeah.
We're lucky here. We don't have a closed season. You can fish 365 days a year.
Very cool. So your lodge is open year round?
We open year round, but we do take a break in about December, January, and early February because the days are so short. Days are short. If you get a cloud cover, you can pack up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go home. Like, so it's no point to have paying customers that come and basically fish half a day, and then we can have some really bad weather patterns as well, especially wind here. We get all the big storm fronts that come from the Atlantic. We're the first one to take them. So it's not really advisable. I usually close at that time, have a bit of a break because it's not fun to fish. And the fish metabolisms is really low, so you're not going to get too many fish. So yeah, no, we just close because it's not fun to fish. So we rather the people to come and enjoy their stay and catch a few fish,
Yeah, give you some time to travel too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not this year or last year, but
No.
It's been disaster on that front. But we'll stay patient and hope that we can all resume our activities properly. Like,
Yeah, it's been a giant headache for sure. And
totally.
Devastating for lots of people. But
I've been closed for a year now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, full year now. From March last year, I closed, and we're still closed. And there's no. I think I was hoping for this springtime to reopen, but the way it's shaping up, I don't think I'll be open this spring or this summer. Like, it's, we're hoping now for next fall. Like, so it's, it's not the best situation at the moment. Definitely not.
That's crazy. So are you just staying busy with your YouTube videos? And
yeah, I try to keep mostly my head busy. Like, I get a small help from the government, money wise. But I mean, at the moment we're locked down, we can't travel more than 5 kilometers from our houses. Like, so I'm lucky because, like I said, I just have all the lake system just below my house, so I just can launch my boat and I'm fine. Like, but I feel for the people living in the cities or things like that. Like, I must be really hard and strenuous now, like, especially when you're a fisherman, you do need that call of the wild and get out, like, so
yeah, that's definitely lucky to be able to walk out your door and your choice of waters, really, rivers or lakes.
Yeah.
I saw you traveled to the Anoka River in Alaska.
Yeah, we done 2 trips up there, and we're already planning the next one because it's an amazing place. Like, I've never witness anything like this. Like
Yeah.
there's probably maybe some places like that far out in Russia or somewhere
Right.
that have the same potential, but the Orinoco is just mad. Like it's the only place where you can really literally sight fish for pike. Like, you know, it's it's the quantity of big fish that surprised me the most. Like funny enough, when I have client talk to me about who wants to go over there, they think that you're going to get like 60-inch pike or, you know, like really massive, but then we get bigger pike here actually in Europe, like, you know, longer pike, but it's the sheer quantity of this big fish that you have over there. It's just like, I mean, sometimes you have like 5, 6, 40+ inches pike running after your fly. Like, you know, it's crazy.
Get your heart checked before you do that.
Oh, totally. Totally. Oh, definitely.
I guess they have a really short season too, because they're definitely going to freeze over. So those things really
down in the ice after, like, you know, which is in a way it's a good thing because the fish get really little pressure. Like it's a huge system, and I think they were at the time they were taking only 6 rods a week. So the pike have like absolutely not educated at all. Like, you know.
Pretty similar tactics than of what you would use in Ireland, or
pretty much the same. Yeah. Pretty much the same gear. I
saw you're a fiberglass fan.
Yeah, I absolutely love. Actually, like I have a rod drying right here. Nice. I have a new rod that I made up. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the fiberglass for pike. I started normal rods like graphite and carbon, and I don't know why. I suppose I wanted to build my own rod, so I kind of went on the web and looked for something that was handy and that came maybe like a kit or something, because I didn't know the components to get, you know, the glues, the epoxies. I had not a clue, and I found the Epic that were doing these full kits. So I said, well, sure, I'll try. And I knew it was fiberglass, and I decided just to go for it. And I've been in love with the fiberglass for big flies. Like, you know, just the loading time is a lot slower, and for big flies, I think it's just perfect. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of people think they can bring their saltwater 10 weight and throw these big muskie and pike flies, and you're right, that fiber,
they kill your arm. These fast rods, they'll just wreck your arm. That's the problem that you have. Like, it's okay if you go a place like the Orinoco and you're only sight casting to a few fish, you're sitting at the bow of the boat and you're just waiting to see a fish and cast. But here we fish the water more than the pike. Like, so you're constantly casting, retrieving, casting. It's blind casting all day long. So you could do 300 casts in a day here. Sometimes you won't see a pike if they're not feeding. So yeah, a rod like a fast rod will definitely, for me, it would kill my arm. Like, I would be, you know, put your arm in a sling at the end of the day. Like,
get a road.
You have guys that come like that and are used to just maybe fish the odd day at the weekend back home, and when they come here for a full week fishing, you know, 7 hours a day, after 3 days they're wrecked.
Yeah,
you know, they have sore shoulders, they have sore arms, and I say to them, it's the way you fish with your rod. Like, you know.
What weight rod do you prefer in the fiberglass for the larger
10.
pike? 10
for pike. I always fish 10.
Yeah,
10 weight.
That's what you're building now.
Yeah. That's it's called the Bandit, that one.
Yep.
It's a 10 weight, fast glass. It's I wouldn't go lighter than 10 weight, because here pike are renowned for their strength. They jump a lot. Even pike over 40 inch, they just leap clean out of the water.
Right.
So it's good sport, but I don't, because we're purely catch and release. We want the fish to go back in peak condition. Like, so I feel that if you fish lighter weight than a 10 weight, you might have a lengthy fight, and then some fish might not go back in full health. So we basically bully the fish here, like, you know. So
that rod can definitely do it. Cameron Mortison from the Fiberglass Manufacturer is a good friend of ours, and we were shark fishing a few years ago and caught about.
Oh, I think I've seen that on his blog. Yes.
And
yes.
I took that photo for him, and he kept telling me, get closer. I'm like, man, Cam, that rod's going to shatter in my face.
Bang, yeah.
And he's like, no, it's fine. I mean, I could hear the cork breaking, you know, and it's just incredible, the pressure you can put on the fish. And I swear, you like you said, you're trying to get them in faster. and that rod's wearing them out so much quicker. So
Yeah, definitely. Like that's a big misconception because a lot of people think because it's fiberglass, it's soft, and you're not going to be able to fight a big fish. But there is so much power in that first bottom section and the first section there. I tried to break these rods on fish. I really did. Like in salt water, you just can't. On a normal condition, it's impossible. You think it's going to snap. I had a couple of times where I had to turn my head away and I couldn't believe the bend on that rod. Like you said, you can feel the fiberglass bending inside the rod handle, like, you know, but no, they last, they hold, and yeah, pretty impressive for that. Like, and it's fun to see these rods bending like that.
Yeah, and it's a kind of a more nostalgic way to, you know, throw back to it.
Yeah, yeah. That's not a misconception, that everybody thinks that fiberglass, it's the rods that they used of their granddad and the 70s rods that were super heavy, and but like every material, like the carbon and the graphite, the glue they use in the fibers, they just came such a long way that now fiberglass is definitely not the fiberglass you were used to as a kid, like, you know, these old rods, like.
So you're strictly glass guy. So when you traveled, like I saw you went to Costa Rica.
Yeah. I tried to bring I usually bring a backup. So I have my old rods, like, you know, I bring as a backup. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll put it out and try to fish a day with it. And I just don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
So even from big flies to small flies, I think for if you fish dry flies, I think fiberglass gives you such a nice presentation. It's just, you just land that fly so softly, like, you know. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I can't go back to normal rods.
Right. So your YouTube channel seems like it's got a little something for everybody. It's got fly tying, some great travel videos and things like that.
Yeah, I try to, like, I was like a bit of a taking pictures, and then I got into more the videography side of it. And then I seen that I had so many people coming here that, especially when I started pike, fly fishing for pike, I had a really hard time to find any info about it on the internet at the time. I was scouring the net when I started tying flies, and that's not that long ago. That's like about 15 years ago. And for pike, you could find absolutely nothing. I had to, all my inspiration came from saltwater flies and Kelly gallops, like, you know, all these trout streamers, like, you know, they're just tying like sex dungeons, but 3 times the size, and
Right.
And it worked fabulously for pike. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this. Like,
yeah, with the modern materials being synthetic, and, you know, the articulated shanks, it's definitely grown in the last 5 years there.
Oh my God, yeah.
The
Huge now, huge.
Suede tails and everything. It's
Yeah.
amazing to see what people like you are coming up with. So,
and that's why, like, when I started that YouTube channel, I just did it for some of my clients that didn't know how to tie flies. So I said, well, I'm going to try to just to help them, because I was fed up every time replying to lengthy emails and, okay, you need this and you need that and you need to tie it like this, and then more mails kept on coming, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to make a video, and like that everybody can watch it. So that's basically how the thing started, and then I enjoyed it and I kept going. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, I've tinkered with it a little bit. I've been musky fishing a few times, never connected, but do you like the longer shanked hooks? I saw you fish with the Kona hooks or tied.
Yeah. I really like it. The Predator one is a lovely hook. Really like that hook.
The longer shank carnivore.
Yeah, the carnivore, and even the one with the small shank for bait fish, the big game, I think, the big game one. Yeah, that's I really like that one. Super strong hooks. I've never had one bending on me, so and I tested many brands of hooks, and I had many failures and hooks opening on me, and so yeah, definitely the gear is tested here, and when I travel as well, like. It's funny because, like, hook wise, I think it's the place where people should put their money, like, you know.
Totally. So when back to travel, when that reopens, you got any plans for any future trips?
Well, I was supposed to go to French Guiana in November. We're supposed to go for wolffish, and that just fell in the water literally, like with the COVID. So that was the latest that we had planned to go. We had a full week bushwhacking in the middle of the jungle. So that looked like a great trip. So hopefully, when things come back, I'll go back and reorganize that trip and get it done. Like.
So are you hosting international trips? Like when you go back to Alaska, are you taking like pike groups from Europe?
I'll take some guys. Yeah. The problem that most French guys, especially the older generation, they have absolutely no English. So, and then for them to leave Europe and fly all the way to Alaska, sometimes a little bit daunting. They don't know for the visa, for the planes, the organization. So most of the hosted trip I've done are planned with existing clients that come to my lodge. So they wanted something new. So I said, well, sure, I'll take you to Alaska if you want. Yeah. And most of them, after they've been once, because everybody thinks it's a trip of a lifetime, they think, oh, before I die, I want to go and experience that. And 2 days into the trip, they're like, when are we coming back? So,
it's a great state for sure.
Yeah. It really touches you, like, when you go there, it leaves a print, definitely.
Yeah. Have you fished any in Canada at all? Does that compare?
I fished Quebec, French Canada. We went in Quebec. We'd done strip bass, salmon, a bit of everything, whatever we could lay our hands on. Like, so that was nice. That was a nice place too.
Well, for those people that aren't watching or just listening, I gotta say that is a hell of a cool stove you got back there.
It keeps me warm. I need it at the moment. Weather is absolutely atrocious at the moment. So we have cold rain and wind, and the waters are like way up high, and no, it's not a good time.
Yeah, you look like you're in the right room for sure.
Definitely, I'm in the right spot now, and I'm drying that rod, so I kind of bumped up the stove to bring up the temperature in the house.
Oh, there you go. Do you so at your fishery, your fishery in Ireland, would you fish floating lines or intermediate, or just depends on kind of the situation?
Really depends the time of the year and the mood of the fish. Sometimes you could have a change of pressure, which brings the fish totally onto the bottom of the lakes, and they sit in the mud and they just don't want to go up. So you need to bring the flies right in front of their nose to tempt one. Sometimes they won't even move a couple of feet. They really need that fly to pass in front of their nose. So then you use sinking line. But when the fish are active, most of the lakes here are not that deep, where we're talking about 15, 18, 20 feet deep maximum in some of the place we fish. So when they're active, they come up, they see the flies up above them. I usually like to keep my flies above the fish and not try to put it too much under them, because they're kind of opportunistic feeders. So mostly when they're feeding, I like intermediate, but I try to get as much floating as I can. I know not too many people fish floating line for pike, but they do come up. Like I said, if you just put your fly just below the surface, they will come up here if they are feeding. But visually, it's a lot better, because you see the pike coming right behind your fly, chasing it and eating it. So if I can fish floating, I stick to the floating for myself. Like,
yeah, that's great.
It's just more fun. Visually, it's more fun. Like,
so do you tie a lot of poppers and stuff for them as well? Like,
not too many poppers. Like I said, they are a little bit hard to get to the top. There's a very few days where they will feed freely on top water. So mostly we tie fairly buoyant flies, like that just sink super slow. Like lately in the game changers, I really like the one made with the belly hair, the belly changers. Oh man, they just sit there and little strip, and they just get that movement and that little bit of flash. Yeah. It's one of my favorite at the moment to fish, definitely.
Those articulated flies are quite addicting to tie too.
Yeah, they are.
It take a little bit of time, but
No, yeah, but you get a sense of proudness when you finished one. Yeah, you're happy to put it in the box, and but yeah, definitely the game changers. in belly hair. It's been a big eye opening here. Like I really like them.
That's awesome. Well, Norbert, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day and talking.
No problem. Pleasure. Really
we'll
nice
put
having
some
you
links
to
up.
call me.